Hi, and welcome to this latest look of IEG4's Social Fund Solution Online. In this presentation, we're going to give you an overview of our application that's online, the rules engine, and also the case management, but crucially, how they're all joined up together. So as you can see here, here's the online application form, and as you can see, there's lots of different circumstances which can drive the online application process. These are taken directly from the DWP's online application, paper-based application. However, we've tweaked them to make sure that the user's experience is as effective as possible, so that forms can be completed extremely quickly. You'll have also noticed at the bottom there that it's possible to complete an application which the user started earlier. Because I'm in development mode, I'm able, using the unique functionality that we provide in our application, to edit the text. Now, where this is going to be particularly important is where you've not decided on the name of your fund or the name of your scheme yet. This is really just to illustrate that it can be changed in literally seconds, meaning that if last minute decisions are made, then the content of the form can be edited in seconds. Now, this content management also goes over into guidance notes, help text, and all of those things, which means that if you want to enhance the form, make it more user-friendly, improve the guidance notes provided, then you can do so. So I'm going to select leaving care and coming back into the community, which is obviously the replacement for community care grants. As you can see, there's guidance notes here, and there's a navigation bar on the left-hand side. The online form is designed specifically to the type that I've selected, which was leaving care. One of the other features that we have on top of the content management is the ability to support multiple languages, and that includes languages which have got different characters. So as you can see, here's the form for leaving care in Arabic. I can easily change back to English just like that. Obviously, any forms completed in a foreign language, when they get sent to the back office, they are translated into English first. So I'm going to progress through the form, and if you'll notice now on the left hand side, the progress bar is actually illustrating that we've completed the first section. As I work through the form, you can see that there are fields that are mandatory and optional, and this is illustrated by the asterisks adjacent to the right hand side of each field. You'll also notice that on some fields there is actually help text, and this is denoted by the blue question mark. So if a user clicks on one of these, it will expand and slide out. You also have the option, using the settings within the application, to have text in line with the question, so that it appears all of the time. Once I've entered in the contact details, these details will be able to be transferred directly into the back office case management system. So it's worth noting that all details that a user enters through the online form are transferred directly into the back office case management system. So there is no need for any rekeying of details ever. A massive plus side in terms of efficiencies. Now, as we get into the form, what we want to do is ensure that they meet the criteria of the council. So what I've said here is that the citizen is in receipt of income support. Now, in this instance, we are actually asking for the physical amount, because we need to work out the differences between how much their actual income is and how much their expenses are, so that we can do a means test. In housing benefit, for example, it's less important because the case is passported. You also have the means to add any of the other welfare benefits if you select yes to the question there. Now, I'm going to say, for the purposes of this example, that the person is severely mentally impaired and therefore is going to be in receipt of one of the disability benefits, and in this case I'm going to select the middle one. Now, in this instance, we don't actually have to add a value because our welfare parameters ensure that it will automatically add the correct value to save the user entering it. I'm not going to have a partner on this case, but if I had have added a partner, as you can see here, the online application is always trying to help you by hiding questions which are irrelevant. So there's dynamism in the sense that when I select my scenario on the very front page, all of the guidance notes and questions are related to that, and I also never need to answer any questions which I don't need to answer. Now, that's important in terms of a citizen completing it, but it's even more important for your staff completing it because it means that they take less time to complete forms and therefore they can do more of them. Now on this page what we're going to do is we're going to collect all of the details regarding their expenses. This page here is one of them which is going to be slightly enhanced before the final build, whereby instead of asking where you're paying the money out to and what is it for, it will be replaced by a drop down which is user controllable. And I'll talk a little bit about how users can change things in the online form using the back office in real time a little bit later. On this page, the user's providing details of they could provide details of their savings. We're actually going into questions about things like, do you have an overdraft? Could you access, a credit card? Are there other funds available to you which you could basically get? Do you have another house, another property? So we're basically always trying to look to find out if there are other funds that the person could get, which means that they don't have to use the social fund. As I said before, the pages are dynamic, but the form is also dynamic depending upon questions. So if I answer prison, then the responses that I have to provide are totally different from what I do if I select care home. So the form is always making sure not only is the form quick to complete, it's also making sure that the correct details are provided. So here, because the person's leaving care, we're collecting all of the details relating to leaving care, and we're also asking details about who their landlord is now that they're moving into a property. What you'll notice at the bottom there is a save for later button. So at any point, if the user did want to save the case for later, they can click that, and then using the reference number which is available in the top right, they can use that to continue a case that they started earlier. Now this page is actually dynamic as well, in the sense that it actually provides the help that the citizen can apply for based upon their circumstances, and we've set it up that a person leaving care can ask for help with rent and household goods. Now one of the things that I wanted to show you is the fact that the back office and the front office are totally interlinked. So options available in the online form can actually be edited using the back office in real time. So in this instance, the user is trying to ask for a washing machine and that's what they need assistance with, but it doesn't exist in the online list. And so in practice what that would mean is that they'd have to contact the council. And therefore, how would the council solve this historically with legacy systems without having to contact their software supplier? We got around that by building the capability to add elements within the online form using the back office solution. Because the two are so seamlessly interlinked, it means that when you add something within the back office as a parameter, that parameter is instantly updated in the online form. Which means if I now go back to the online form and refresh the page, you can see that washing machine is now available for selection. It's this sort of seamless integration between the online application and the back office which is very unique to the IEG4 solution. Now as we get to the last page, the user has the ability to review all of their answers. Now obviously we want to reduce the chances of a person appealing or asking for a review of their case as much as possible if they're unsuccessful. And so the ability for a citizen to check their answers before they confirm everything and declare everything is critical. At this stage the user is able to submit their case. Now because we have an automated rules engine built in, the application is automatically deciding whether they will be rejected, whether they will be referred, or whether they will be accepted. In this instance, you can see that they have been referred. Now, because we have edit mode, it's possible for a user to put signposting in on this page. So if they were rejected, they could quite easily put in things like, did you know you could go to the CAB, and put hyperlinks and phone numbers and things on there. But this case has been referred, and so we need to look at it in the back office. So I've looked at my list of cases and I've now selected my case that I need to review. What you'll notice is that when a case is opened, I've got a summary of all of the details that relate to that claim. So without having to have any large scrolling drop-down lists or anything like that, or loads of new screens that I need to learn, the application is capable of showing all of the case details within a single application screen, which makes it a lot easier for staff to be trained upon. Now what you'll also notice is that you can see how we've calculated that the case should be referred. In our application we have said that if a score is between 10 and 30 then it should be referred, and so it's automatically done that here. The other cool and key function that the application provides is that the documents are accessible directly against the case, which means that typically with most back office systems what you'll have is a separate document management system, because that document management system doesn't interlink seamlessly with the case. But we actually provide instant access directly from the case to the document, and so in many ways the need for a document management system is reduced. So if we now go on and look to decide the case, you can see that the user is not having to go away somewhere else. The decide function actually slides up from the bottom. So they can decide what they want to do with this rent deposit application. Now in this instance we're going to reject the case, and that's because we're actually going to use DHP instead. Now in practice that's actually a real life scenario and a real life operational function, and so you can see that it's operating exactly that way. Now the person wants a washing machine. However, we haven't actually set up how washing machines can be paid. In other words, what vouchers or prepaid cards or contractor should provide washing machines. So if we go back to the parameter which we saw earlier, which is payments, and select washing machine, we can now associate a payment type with that. So if I select contractors, second-hand goods or us, and select them as being applicable, it therefore means that I can actually set a value against it. And I can even set a value as the maximum amount of money that the council will be willing to pay for that good. So in this instance I've set it to £70. If we now go back to the case and go back to decision for washing machine, we'll see that it's now possible to actually see that the parameters immediately populated and washing machine has been linked directly to that contractor. We can supply a reason, and just for information, when the final release is delivered to customers this will be a drop down, thereby enabling users to be able to have standard reasons for deciding whether it's a case is rejected or accepted. Now because a contractor is going to provide this service, we don't need to pay it, so we're just going to save the information. When we press save, it's automatically created a piece of correspondence using templating, which means that a letter or an email will be immediately emailed once to the council, so that they can put it into EDMS if they want to, and once directly to the contractor. Meaning that the contractor knows that they need to provide this item or good to the citizen and the reference number that needs to be quoted, should the citizen want to go and collect it themselves. There's also a notepad, and there's also the ability for users to refer a case to another user, for example if they want to refer it to their manager. So that's very quickly deciding a case, paying a case, and also editing the parameters of deciding a case. Obviously only a user can change parameters with, only a user with the relevant permissions. But one of the things that we never showed is what happens when a person tries to make an application and they've already applied before. For example, within 6 months, or for example the next day, because they're trying to get around the system. We've actually provided this really unique feature which allows a user to compare and contrast the summary of two applications directly in line. So I can see that there's an alert, and if I click to view that, I actually have an updated summary which shows both of the applications, so I can compare how the subsequent application differs from the details that were provided in the initial application. Now, where we will be taking this to the next level is when our applications for DHP and Section 17 are combined, because it will be possible when John McMahon makes an application to have his DHP application and his social fund applications linked together, meaning that not only does this function provide a quick and easy way of seeing differences between cases, it provides a way of being able to see the total monies paid out to somebody. Now, the next feature that I talked about was the fact that our application has the ability to automate decisions. Now, it's capable of doing this because of the fact that it's not only got rules that can be set up and created such that it will look for certain variables within the online form to determine whether it should automatically be accepted or rejected, it also has the means to apply weightings to things. So in this instance, what we've actually got is a rule which is setting the ability to cause a case to fail or refer based upon it. So where a case does not have ESA and is not passported, I've just changed it to, instead of fail, refer the case. Likewise with income support, any income support case will be referred. ESA cases, you can see, won't fail and won't refer and have actually got a weighting of 40. Now that's obviously to reflect the fact that they're disabled. My pass mark is 30, which means that if the person's only factor on their case was 40, they would actually be successful. You can also see that depending upon the channel, i.e. if it's a citizen applying, the rules can be different from whether it's a third party assisting them or whether it's council staff. Now we wanted to make sure that the application was capable of working in geographical means as well, so that if you have wards, you can actually set up payment offices and users by ward. So if John McMahon logs in and he's only responsible for the west side of the city, he will only see that. Now, what we're actually looking at now is the ability to set up vouchers that relate to food. So what I'm illustrating here is the fact that we're going to say that prepaid cards can be used for Asda, but also the maximum amount, because obviously the amount of money which a person should get if they're a single adult, in this case, is £35. But if they had a partner, you would expect the maximum amount to be higher, and per child to be higher as well. So that was linking a payment type to food. But what if I needed to create a new payment type? Well, in this instance, I'm going to create a new type of prepaid card, which is an Argos card. Once I've created it, it is instantly available for me to link to household goods or any of the other type of components. So if I go to washing machine, we can see that that's already linked to second-hand goods or us, but we can now see the new prepaid card for Argos at the bottom. And so that was a quick overview of the online application communicating with the back office application. But what about customer support? What about when people phone up and they say that they've lost their reference number but they need to have access to their claim? Well, our built-in customer portal allows a user to actually go in, access or search for the claim and then actually find out the reference number, or even help them where they were stuck in the application process. So they can find the application using the search functionality. They can even send an email out to the customer to say, thanks for your call, this is what we discussed today, and, close the call off, basically. You also have a pretty revolutionary piece of functionality where a user can see the browser that they're using, where they can see the IP address, so is it inside the council, is it outside the council, and even how long each and every step of the process took. What this means is, in terms of support, is that it's possible to see whether they're using an unusual or obscure browser or anything like that for support purposes. It's also, of course, possible to see every complete case to be able to access the same functionality, i.e. email, and being able to look at the length of time spent on completing the form, as well as being able to access the documentation. So this would be useful if you didn't want to provide them with access to the back office system. So what I wanted to talk about was the key features that are provided within the Social Fund online application. You have an intelligent and customizable form. It will work on any device, including smartphones and tablets. It's got a rules engine to automate decisions, a complete case management system. You can notify via email. Documents are linked to cases. It's got budget management and reporting built in, and it even has the capability to connect to DHP Section 17 and LCTS hardship. All of this seamlessly linked together, and all can be hosted with inside an IL2 accredited hosting partner. The only online solution, all at ieg4.com.